Happy Wednesday. Welcome back to Inside the Lines. We got some money to be made tonight, NBA, college basketball. We're also going to take a look at some of these prop lines that are just all over the board right now, depending on which side you like. You can get a lot of discrepancy between books right now, between yardage. So a lot to unpack there with OddsJam. We're going to start with that. Let's take a little look back at yesterday. We split 50-50 last night. The NHL money line, John. So close, so close. We will get there. But a good night overall in the NBA. Both Jokic and SGA coming back with some MVP candidacy for themselves. All right, let's bring in Steven and Jake. First, I say let's hit this NFL conversation first, okay? Steven did some digging. We looked at a ton of lines that have a lot of disparity. Looking at Lamar Jackson passing yards here. Let's head over to OddsJam. You can find him at 205 to 212 in some spots, probably 211, but we like the under. I'll ask you, Steven, to what point would we take this under?
I think we take it to 200. Again, the thinking is that Lamar and the Ravens the weakness of the Chiefs defense is the run defense, and they're an excellent overcross, or their strength, I should say, is their corners, really. And, Baltimore is always about trying to dominate time possession, keep Patrick Mahomes off the field. And Lamar's running, both designed and willingness to scramble, go up by around 20% in the playoffs historically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like this under here as well. I'm just curious. And this is all steaming down, right? Like, this is an act now if you want to get the best number you can on his passing yards under. Certainly.
Well, it's interesting. It just ticked back up to 207.5. Lamar just did his press conference. I don't know if he didn't say anything in there that would lead me to believe that he's going to pass more, but that's an interesting move that just happened before our eyes.
Interesting. All right, well, let's head over to Patrick Mahomes. Not someone we have a ton of value on, but if you feel strongly one way or the other, there's a couple different numbers you can find this at.
Yeah, I think this is a battle between what Mahomes has always done historically, especially in the playoffs, where he's just amazing, and what has happened this year, where his passing yardage on the road, especially, was down considerably, and of course how great the Ravens' defense is in yards per attempt allowed and overall yards, something around 215 per game at home. So it's kind of like a contrast in forces. Is it going to be just playoff Mahomes can overcome anything, or is it the numbers from this season actually matter?
Right. Now let's head over to some running back props here for the AFC Championship. We'll go with both Ravens running backs here. Justice Hill, someone that we like a lot. I actually make this one of my favorite picks on the weekend. I mean, 32.5 is a great number. I think that's something you want to hop on right now, right?
Yeah, it was I think it was 31.5 earlier. But so the two running backs, Gus Edwards is down. Because I want to say 2 of his last 3 games had 10 carries or less. And then last week, Justice Hill had his career high. And so I would expect that I wouldn't be surprised if these numbers start getting in the same range. So it's what happened in the Detroit running back situation, where Gibbs has bumped up and Montgomery has steamed down. So, I think this is a case where you have to look at how the recency that you've seen from both teams, especially Baltimore, is more relevant than the season overall. And then there's also the wild card of Dalvin Cook for both of them.
Yeah, that's the scary part. And that's how I feel about Gus. It's like, is he just going to be a red zone running back? I just don't even know if he's someone I want to touch. I know the model likes him, but is that something you back yourself?
Again, I think it's trying to capitalize on what we think is Kansas City's vulnerability, and time possession. Gus is usually our most reliable running back to get 3 or 4 yards.
Mm-hmm. All right, I see some questions about some receivers here. Scott was asking about Kelsey, who only needs 7 more catches for all-time postseason record, possibly. Mm-hmm. Don't quote him on that. So do we like him with this incentive here?
Well, yeah, I would like him even without the record incentive. So I think there's a pretty decent disparity in his line, because there's probably no player ever designed to potentially contain Kelsey better than Kyle Hamilton in terms of size, quickness, and half Korean playing in Baltimore, and actually a member of Mensa. I mean, there's literally never been that kind of combination with his size, strength, arm length, and intelligence. So there's that force combined with the fact that Kelsey, got to figure, is just going to get tons of targets and volume. So the model likes the volume of Kelsey hitting the over, but that's why they see this kind of range. And what I would consider is a relatively low line for Travis Kelsey, considering how prolific he's been in the playoffs, especially.
So do we like his yards more than his receptions, you think?
I think I like both of them. I don't know what the line is for the receptions off the top of my head, but we definitely like his yards.
Mm-hmm. It's so weird to me thinking of like Kyle Hamilton, who's my age, like playing Travis Kelsey, who's just a lot older than him. I don't know.
Well, it's not as weird as all these NBA players. I remember being fans of like their fathers. But one thing, Kelsey, it also reminds me of the 49ers game where the success that the 49ers had in the passing was to Kittle. Mm-hmm. So maybe there's some kind of design in the defensive side that we kind of allow. We have to give something up, and it's usually in that middle of the soft spot of the zone.
Mm-hmm. I want to talk about a player on the other side of the ball that I think was definitely going to go over his receiving yard total. You can still get OBJ at 20.5 receiving yards at some spots. I believe it's up to 23.5 at others. We talked about this yesterday, and I talked about it on CBS HQ yesterday. This is what they signed him for. This is what he came here to do. Again, we talked about how Houston, they were blitzing a ton in the first half. Last weekend in the divisional round, something we don't think the Chiefs are necessarily going to do. It feels like OBJ should have a little more time for routes to develop compared to last weekend. And I think we're getting a little buy low situation on this guy.
Yeah, and you got to figure that, I'm not an expert in the defense of the Chiefs secondary, but, they're the best players are going to be occupied with Zay Flowers and even and Mark Andrews is back. So, OBJ should have a favorable one-on-one defensive matchup.
Exactly. And is there any other Ravens receiver that we're high on? I feel like he's probably our favorite prop. Let's talk about what's the Mark Andrews situation. So his line's posted.
Yeah, posted 34.5. So, that's basically at around 70% of his normal usage is what the odds makers are projecting. I still, and Likely was taken off the board from what I can tell. So I still think Likely and Andrews are going to be kind of 50-50 snaps and target share. I think Andrews is going to be more of a red zone decoy and we'll still have plenty of looks for Likely. So I'm interested to see when that line reposts where it'll come out.
I know. I'd be curious. If it's low, I kind of would want to take it again. We got so close. I don't know. I guess from the show it hit. When I put it on Sportsline, I was a yard short, but still got the touchdown. Like I have a hard time believing they're just going to ignore him the minute.
No, yeah. And Andrews still is an injury. His injury, you would think, would impact his mobility.
Right.
And obviously he's tall and has great hands, which is perfect for red zone.
Exactly. Okay, I think that's all the questions I see right now. Please feel free to ask more. We talked about, so OBJ, someone I really like. Justice Hill, another prop the model likes a lot, something we'll be on. One more play. This is the NFC, which we'll hit more tomorrow, but I want to get this off my chest in case, God forbid, this line starts steaming up. Another play I gave out yesterday on CBS HQ, Jared Goff over 1.5 rushing yards at plus money still on FanDuel. It's not plus money everywhere, so hop on it on FanDuel while you can. I think this is the exact spot where we see him gets flushed out of the pocket by this Niners pass rush, takes a little slide. We're asking for like 4 steps from him. And when we talked about, Steven did the research, when he was a Ram and he was playing the Niners twice a year, he was averaging 10 rushing yards against them. And he had 6 rushing yards last week. So I don't think we're asking for anything crazy. It's playoffs, fight or go home, survival of the fittest. I think we can get 2 rushing yards from him.
And we got to figure the chance of him being up significantly with the negative plays, kneel downs, should be lower than your normal Lions game.
Yeah. People on Twitter were like, you have to account for the kneel downs. And I was like, if God forbid the Niners are up so big that they're kneeling down at the end of this game, I will take that loss. I'm here.
Well, maybe they'll be up because Goff took off for 6 yards.
This is true. 6 because he had a big 6-yard play.
That's all you need, right? -1, -1, -1,
Yeah. That's my favorite. I see the chat talking a lot about Duran, a lot of NBA. So let's get into that now. We're going to go through the slate of games that we have some value on, which is basically all of them. We'll start with Minnesota, headed to Washington as 11.5-point road favorites. Someone we like in this game, Kyle Kuzma. We got pretty decent value on his points here.
Yeah, it's his line is down because he's had 4 straight unders, but over 50 games. He's only had one other situation. he only had one situation where he had this kind of stretch of under 18.5 points, and he got hurt in one of those games. He's on the trading block, so usually that means you want to showcase somebody to get more looks. But overall, the over is 27-15, despite the recent 3 straight unders, I should say. And his minutes have been high, even in this somewhat of a mini slump. Model likes him at 21 points, which is pretty much what he averages.
I see Brandon's on Jared Goff. I'm going to get that poll going and see who has the balls to take Jared Goff with us. All right, let's go over to the marquee matchup of the night. Charlotte Hornets headed to the Detroit Pistons. Detroit Pistons actually caught some steam here. Started as 1-point home favorites, now 3-point favorites. But we don't, do we?
I mean, I'm not going to go overboard because Charlotte just traded Terry Rozier, and he is very valuable on the spread. They're not very good, but they're much better with him, in the last couple seasons. But LaMelo Ball actually has similar impact. It's just that Ball's missed so much time. So I think that if Ball's healthy, they have a nice little big 3 forming in terms of scoring. Recently, they've gone 2-1 with Miles Bridges and Brandon Miller having big games. So I think that Charlotte's offense is in good shape. And Detroit is hot against the spread, but they've never been favored. So this is a whole different situation for them. I do like Jalen Duren over in his blocks. I don't think he can get minus 175. It just steamed quickly to 200 everywhere, minus 200. Ugly. The line's lower because he's only had 1 or more blocks in 5 of his last 13 games. But before that, the over was 7-1. And I just think that, even though the Charlotte's second, third, and fourth leading scorers are all bigs, and even though they're 3-point stretch 4s, we're still projecting 25 2-point attempts from those players combined. So there should be plenty of block opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Scott coming in with the news here. Cunningham downgraded from probable to questionable, which is good to know here in this situation. All right. I think Jalen Duren, regardless, is going to be awesome. Betting the farm on Goff over 1.5. Let's go, guys. This is a movement. This is so exciting. All right. Let's move.
Farm.
Yeah. Could be you soon, Steven. All right. Another awesome marquee matchup of the night. Portland Trailblazers going to the Rockets. Rockets laying 10 at home. I saw someone else. Yeah, Nick S. is on this prop as well. Love to see it. Love to see it, Nick.
Yeah, a few weeks ago, I had him having 1 block because he was on a 3-game stretch without it. And then he had 3 more games without it. But he broke out of the 6-game stretch with 7 blocks in the last 4 games. He didn't have 1 last game, so that I think is good. He's averaged 2 blocks in 3 games versus Portland. I don't know how relevant that is, but maybe it's indicative of the Portland perimeter-oriented team challenging him. But Portland averages just 0.95 points per possession, so that means there's a lot of missed shots. You want to be 1.05 usually in that situation, and a lot of missed shots, and they are 3rd in the league in getting blocked. And no other major rotation player for Houston averages more blocks than Sengun. I think the point guard averages more than Sengun, but so if Portland gets blocked their normal 6 times, there's a better than average chance that 1 should be Sengun.
All right. I don't really go with these block props a lot, but I might have to take 1 or 2.
Just one by your center. Come on.
Betting a block prop is like betting Jared Goff to go over 1.5 rushing yards. So I'm in. All right, let's go. This looks like a more exciting game. Cavs headed to Milwaukee. Milwaukee laying 6.5. Can someone explain the coaching situation to me here?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a big Doc Rivers fan.
Help us.
mean, if there has to be some sort of internal beef going on between Adrian Griffin and probably Giannis. Giannis must have not liked them because if they're 30-13, he's in his first year. That's the only thing I could see is why they would fire him and not give him even more time to gel. So, I mean, Doc, he's a big name, but has he been good in the last 15 years? No.
I'm hoping that aggression from Giannis will come in the form of, even if he does get, challenging Allen, and Allen getting some blocks just on a lot of aggressiveness from in the paint from Milwaukee. The line's lowish because he's only averaging 0.9 blocks on the road. The over is just 5-11, but his recent average is 1.5 per game, 2.2 in his last 5 games, and his defensive aggression, protecting the paint is correlated to a massive point differential for Cleveland, plus 27, plus 21, plus 40, plus 18, plus 9. So things are going well with Jared Allen trying to block a lot of shots. And so I think that we're going to see an aggressive Milwaukee. I don't see them, hey, let's fire our coach and then just jack up threes all day long. I don't see that happening.
Another block prop. Maybe I should parlay all of them.
Block party.
Block party. I always
Just fun that.
I think there's not a lot. It's mostly European players, but players who have a volleyball background and then play in the NBA, you can tell like their technique of block, like they're so clean at blocking, and you can tell they have their reps in there. Anywho, that's neither here nor there. Let's keep moving on. OKC headed to the Spurs. I think I have this line messed up. I'm assuming OKC is the 7-point road favorite.
Yeah. But there's model value on OKC because they're projected to shoot around 40% from the 3-point line. Thunder shooting 41% from 3 on the road this season, which is surprising to me. And they shot 44 and 47% in 2 recent road games. But I like Chet over 26.5 points, rebounds, and assists. The numbers actually don't really back this. So this is a case where his recent stretch, he's only averaging 24 with 7 straight unders. And I don't think, maybe there's a rookie wall or something that usually skilled rookies like him actually start picking up their game at this point in the season because they're more familiar with the things. He only had 19 points, rebounds, and assists versus Wembanyama. Didn't have a big game, so kind of think he's going to get hyped. So I just see this as Chet breaking out of this kind of mini slump of less production.
I kind of like going for the players that are coming out of a slump more than the ones that are on a streak here for sure.
Yeah.
A couple questions about this game before we get to Jake's prop as well. Let's go to Wemby. Questions about his points, questions about his blocks. Let's just break him down as a whole here.
So we don't points, rebounds, and assists. We have only 34, which is a little under the 36.5 line. That seems to be the consensus line. And I looked at his block numbers. I didn't see any value on him across the board. 24.5 points. Yeah, when we only have 22 points projected because, OKC is a very good team. They struggled to beat and got kind of lucky beating Portland last night. But overall, their defensive metrics in terms of field goal percentage allowed, it travels really well on the road. They don't allow threes at a higher rate. They're still pretty good defending twos, and they out rebound. The one area is if Wemby can help get out rebound and get some easy putbacks.
Mm-hmm. And then block wise, I'm trying to find what the line was. 3.5 blocks and steals.
Blocks and steals. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we have 3.35 blocks and steals, so probably not. Nothing there.
All right. I think that's all I see right now. Let's head over to Jake's prop here. We're going to Lou Dort. We were thinking this line was going to come down. It didn't, but you'd think he can still go. Oh, it did. My bad. He's down to 10.5.
Yeah.
Just how we drew it up.
Exactly.
Yep.
I didn't want to play it at 11.5 because I was waiting for him to have a bad game, which happened yesterday. He's a 42% 3-point shooter this year, and he went just 1 for 5 yesterday. So if he gets 5 attempts today, he should make at least 2 today. And I love it that it went down to 10.5 since it's been 11.5 the last couple of games. He's gone over, I think, in 8 of the last 9 games. So give me this at 10.5.
Yeah, the Spurs have a lousy defense. Let's face it. They just allowed 70. The easiest 70 points I think it was the easiest 50-plus point game I've ever seen from Embiid.
And the thing is, they unlike Minnesota, they weren't forcing the ball to Embiid. Like it was just it was so easy. They left him open. Like it was ridiculous. Yeah. Cat was forcing everything in that game. Yeah. Embiid just let the game come to him. It was funny when they booed Daniel House for shooting a 3, though. After Embiid was scoring everything, it was funny.
Yeah. Really quick, speaking of threes, Steven was asking about Chet and Wemby combined for 3 threes. That's anything we want to.
We have 1.5 projected for Chet, so he's doing his share, and 1.7 for Wemby. So let's go for it. Yeah.
Bang. All right, let's move on here. Suns going to the Mavs. Did I screw this up too? I did. The Suns are definitely.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, that's right. Suns are -2. Oh, the Suns are -2. Yeah. I think Luka and Kyrie are game time decisions. I assume they'll play, but we're not sure. I'm going to go with Booker over 2.5 turnovers at plus money. Model has closer to 3. The line's down because he had 2 or less turnovers in 5 straight games, so he's kind of due for a sloppier one. But overall, his last 15 games, he's averaging 2.6 turnovers. He averages more on the road, 0.3 more on the road, right under 2.9 on the road. And Dallas is actually top 10 in forcing turnovers. So let's see if Booker gets 3.
Sneaky. That's something like I can't even watch for. I would just not watch the game and then look at the stat sheet at the end and say a little prayer.
And also, you got to hope that there's like, a Dallas score stat, keeper who sort of credits him with a turnover where he could give it to someone else, but he'd rather make, Booker look worse.
Fair. All right, let's head over to the Hawks going to Golden State, final game of the night, I believe. Golden State's 7.5-point favorites here.
Yeah, we have some model value on the over. It's going to be an emotional game. Obviously, Golden State hadn't played pretty much last week since the death of their assistant coach. So, but I'm going to go with Jalen Johnson. I think Jake is also on this. He could probably do a better description of it. This is a kind of a regression to the mean play. He averages 8.2 on the road and home, so he travels well. He's had 3 straight games with 7 rebounds exactly. So, the guy who averages over 8, he's due to have 9, right? And so in the Green Bay's and Golden State's rebound differential is actually worse at home than it is on the road this year.
Well, Jake, I know Jake, you're on this prop too. If you want to head up to the model, we can look at this game.
Like Steven said, he's gone 7-7-7 the last 3 games. He averages over 8 rebounds per game. He's well due to hit over 8, and Golden State style play and Atlanta style play, there should be lots of shots attempts. And Golden State isn't necessarily a big team, so he should get plenty of rebounding opportunities here.
I like that. I like all the shot volume he'll get there. Big Cheesy asking about Curry over 28.5 points. Is that even money?
Yeah, I think we like that because we have him shooting well. Let me pop it up for a second. We have 28.7 points, so at even money, like that. Definitely.
All right. Let's hit Steve, I'm going to send you the chat to answer any more NBA questions that we have. Jake, let's run through. We're back to the college basketball props here. Let's start with a little UVA prop. We haven't talked about UVA much, have we?
No, not that much. I played this at 3 on underdog, but you get 3.5 at plus 130 on BetMGM. We have Beekman for 3.7 rebounds. So plenty of value there. I just like this at plus 130. He's a guard, but he's a bigger guard. He's 6'4", 6'5". He either had 3 rebounds or 4 rebounds every game, but plus 130 is well worth the gamble to bet the over 3.5.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's go over to Miami here. Nigel Pack. It's my first time hearing him.
This is more of a regression to the mean as well. He hasn't hit in his last 2 games, but before that, he hit this number in 6 straight. We have him projected for 3.1 assists. Miami's a fast-paced team. There's plenty of shots going up. He probably has had at least 5 or 6 assist opportunities the last couple of games, but Miami has been shooting the ball well. I don't know if Amir is playing this game. That would definitely help hit this number. It's definitely correlated to his assists. His assists definitely go up when Amir plays, but I still like this whether he plays or not.
Okay. And then I accidentally missed one other UVA prop here. Let's go back to that game quick.
Yeah, McNeely under 1.5 turnovers. We have him right around 1 turnover. In 10 games this season that he's played in a home game, he's gone under 2 turnovers 9 of those 10 games. So it's just a value play here.
Cool. We'll go to the Big East here. Marquette headed to DePaul.
Yeah, Tyler Kolek. I've been all over this lately. Since Marquette lost 2 other guards, I think Chase Ross and Sean Jones, he's had the ball in his hand. He had the ball in his hand 80% of the time before, but now he has it 90% of the time. And I think he's hit 15 plus in 2 of the last 3 games. We have him at 13 rebounds and assists. I really like this. You can only find it on underdog. You can't get rebounds and assists on any of the major sports books, but I still like this.
Okay. Derek saying DePaul has had their worst start, 3-15 since 96-97 season. So,
and they just fired their coach yesterday.
Yeah, that will cause chaos. Question from Wenzel Walker: Samford versus Furman. He's leaning towards the Samford money line. Do you have any opinions on this?
Let me look. I know Furman's a lot better at home than they're on the road, but it's just so I'm assuming this game is probably at Samford. Let me pull up the model. We have no lean here. We have Furman winning 83-81. So slightly in on under 168. But this is a game where there's going to be plenty of offense. I want to take an under. So there's not really any value at all.
All right. So if it's that close of a game, maybe it's not that bad to lean the Samford money line and get some probably plus money there. All right, let's head over to the SEC, Mississippi State, going to your Florida Gators.
I know. So this is a little scary because my Gators don't have the best defense, but Cameron Matthews has gone under, I think, in all but one game that Toulouse-Smith has played this season, and the 4 games he's been back. I think he's 3-1 or even 4-0 on the under since Smith has played. He hasn't put up a lot of shots. He gets a lot of his opportunities on putbacks. One thing the Gators do have is plenty of size. They have 2 7-footers and another guy 6'10" and Tyree Samuel. We have Cameron Matthews, I think, at 7 points. It's just he isn't getting that many shot opportunities. I would probably lean Toulouse-Smith over because he's dominated the Gators the last couple of years, but I lean Cameron Matthews under here.
Okay, we're going with an under. Then we're going to head another SEC game here. Bama hosting Auburn. That should be a good game.
Yeah, it should be a really good game. We like Alabama in the model. I think we have them as the 5th best team in the country. We have them 5th, I think Tennessee 3rd, and then Kentucky 8th. Kentucky definitely want to go down. Definitely went down after their game yesterday. But this kind of relates to Estrada being a huge piece for them, and we love Estrada's assist numbers pretty much in every game. So we have him at 4.2 assists. His line is 3.5. You get a minus 122 on FanDuel. I like his numbers at home go way up. He definitely plays a lot better, and it just scares me because Auburn has a really good defense, but it's not as good on the road like any team in the country.
Yeah. Derek with a good nugget here. Bama averaging 89 points, ranked 4th in the country there. Let's head to one more.
I would look more into their SEC play because their out of conference schedule kind of inflates those numbers, but they're still been pretty good in SEC play.
All right. Let's go to Eric Dixon from Nova. I actually know his girlfriend really well. We played volleyball together growing up. So go, Eric.
Well, sorry, I'm fading him right here. I'm going over 1.5 turnovers. This is another regression to the mean. He's gone under in 2 of the last 3 games, but before that, I think this number hit in 5 in a row. And he had 2 turnovers in his game against St. John's earlier in the season, and he has much higher propensity of turning the ball over when he's on the road. So this is just a value play right here. He should get 2 turnovers here.
All right. Bang. Plenty of college basketball player props, plenty of NBA, a few NFL plays that we're making official. I'm making official. Jared Goff over 1.5 rushing yards being one of them. I will campaign that throughout the week. All right. That is all we have time for today. Take a screenshot, do what you got to do with the recap screen. If you have any questions, as always, reach out to us on Twitter. Tomorrow, we will just keep diving into these player prop lines. Hopefully, we'll have some more answers about the Niners and their offense. We'll be able to attack those even better. So with that, brainstorm your questions for tomorrow, and we'll see you guys then.